Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome if you're new. I am Sagarika and thank you for being here. I was away for a while and I explained why in my last vlog. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. I'll link it down below. I wasn't able to review the books I read while I was on a break in my last one. So today we're gonna do that. I read 16 books and currently I'm reading Heirs of Secret series by Berlin Hayes. I'm on book 3 and I think I'm going to finish that tonight. But since it's still not finished, I won't be reviewing the series in this one. And there's going to be a part 2 because 16 books, I think, is a lot to review in one sitting. So we're going to make a part 2. Also, I think it's going to be a long video otherwise. So yeah, let's start the review. First one is Just Kids by Patti Smith. It's a memoir. It's written in the memory of Robert Mapplethorpe, her best friend. It not only captures the vibrant New York atmosphere of 60s and 70s, but also the tender, unshakable bond of two souls who help shape each other's lives. And it's written very beautifully, poetic in a way that it gives life to words. And I'm not an annotator by any means, but this book, I couldn't help it. I've underlined so many beautiful lines, and there's one that's my absolute favorite. I'll read it to you if I find it. Wait. It had started with the moon, an accessible poem that it was. Now men had walked upon it, rubber treads on a pearl of the gods. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so yeah, one of the many lines I underlined. And since I finished this one about 2.5 months ago, so my memory is a bit hazy on this one. And that's where my notes app come in handy. I wrote that note right after I finished this one. So it was, fresh out of my mind. So I thought it would be better if I read it to you word to word. Just Kids by Patti Smith is so beautifully written, sharing about her life and her friendship with Robert in such a poetically beautiful way. Never thought I'd read something like this. Fiction, probably, but memoir, never. He acted as a catalyst in her life, was there for her when she needed the most, and vice versa. The way she had described him and his passion for creating art, wow, simply beautiful. To have such a friendship and then having to let go of the person and live with only memories is heartbreaking. But as I read on, I realized that in that heartbreak, there's also gratitude to be able to create those memories and cherish them forever. Beautiful, beautiful book, despite the struggles they went through, and I'm definitely inspired. 5 out of 5. Yeah, so that was my review, and it took me a while to finish this one, and not because it was boring. That never happened. It's just that I'm more of a fantasy romance reader, so I flow there easily. So moving on to next, I read the Book of the Air series by Holly Black. There are 3 books and 2 novellas, which I'll talk about in a minute. Uh, First one is The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. This series revolves around Jude and Carden. More Jude because it's from her point of view, and what would I've given to read from Carden's? Anyway, so Jude and her sisters, they saw their parents killed by this fairy who then abducts them and take them to his world. And there they were mocked and tormented for being mortal. And as she grew older, she realized that in order to truly belong, she had to take part in their dangerous deceptions. That one I took right from the blurb. So yeah, so I'm in love with the series. I am utterly, butterly obsessed with it. So much so that I completed this one in 3 days. I know it's not that big, I mean, it's just this much. But even if each book was like fourth wing big, I would have finished it in 3 days, regardless. I know my capabilities when it comes to reading. Anyway, so the series, wow. Holly Black, I love you for writing this. The story's great. It does take a few chapters to get to know the world, but once you're set, you're set. okay? Not only she made me love the characters that are worth loving, but also made me hate the characters with equal passion who deserve it, And Garden, I love you. And not only did I fall for him, but I also fell for Jude. There's a first time for everything, I guess. Carden is one of my book boyfriends, okay? But Jude, she's my wife. She's the queen. She's beauty with brains and strength, okay? And I love her. Okay. I love her. I know many see Carden as Sim for Jude, but he's is so much more than that. There's many layers to him, and as the story progresses, you'll see them unfold. Also, there's this novella on him, how the king of elfhame learned to hate stories, and it's about his childhood, and it explains more about why he's the way he is. There's another novella, The Lost Sisters. It's about Jude's sister, and I have not read that one. I think I'm gonna in future someday. Now, time for ranking. The whole series, 5 out of 5, but individually, Cruel Prince, 4 out of 5. The Wicked King, 4.5, 4.6 out of 5, and The Queen of Nothing, 5 out of 5. Novella was fine, 3 out of 5. I read the novella on Kindle. I got Kindle Unlimited subscription after I finished with the series, and there I read a lot of books. It made me an efficient reader, okay? And it's cheap as well. But it's not the same as physical books. Reading from paperback or even a hardcover feels entirely different. It's the best kind of vibe. And I've ordered some. It'll arrive in few days, so I'll show you then what I got. But for now, all the books that I'll be reviewing from now on were read on Kindle. So let's move ahead. So next one is King of Envy by Anna Huang. If you've been here for a while, you know I love Anna Huang. She's such a great writer, especially dark romance, and this one is also a dark romance. It's a part of Kings of Sin series. It's fifth one in the series, and I remember waiting to read this one since I finished King of Sloth, the fourth book in the series. And wait, no, actually, I've been curious to read about him since he was mentioned in the series. Okay, he gave this very sexy and dangerous vibes, and I was floored. I'm talking about fiction here. This has nothing to do with the reality. Okay, but who knows? Anyway, so back to the book. I didn't tell you what the book was about. Okay, so it revolves around Markovich and Ayana Kidane. He's been in love with her since he saw her, but now she's engaged to his best friend. But what he doesn't know is that that engagement is just a business arrangement. This is another 5 star for me. It did not disappoint. The story's amazing. Ayana, she's another beautiful, strong female lead. Love that. And A Man written by Anna Huang is always a treat to read. Oh, and he's mute and he's got the scar. If you've read the series, you would know. And like I said, sexy, dangerous vibes. Before him, Dante was my top book boyfriend in the series, but he's got a competition now. Not only works protective of Ayana, but also she's protective of him. And I think that's adorable. I'm screaming and crying and kissing in the rain. There's just enough spice, the right amount, and drama, obviously, and Shadow. Yeah, he's the star of the show. He's the real hero, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Not once I was bored. I read it in like 2 sittings. I started it in the evening, and I was done by the next day before noon. And I can confirm now that I can read smart with a straight face in front of people. Now that's something. Next is part of Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. There are 4 books in total: Throttled, Collided, Wrecked, and Redeemed. I had already read Throttled last year. It's about Noah and Maya. That one was good. I remember liking it, but I wasn't in love. Maybe that's why I didn't read all the books right after, but now I'm done with the whole series. Let's start with Collided, Book 2. It's a sports romance, F1 specifically, the whole series. And that's what pulled me in the first place. So, this book is about Liam and Sophie. She made this naughty bucket list, and it was accidentally discovered by him. And now he wants to fulfill all the items on a bucket list. Also, she's the daughter of his rival team's team principal. So that's a risky game right there. So the book was actually good. I enjoyed reading it. Chemistry was there, tension, all good. But what I loved the most is how they understood each other. You need that in your life, you know? Someone who understands you and supports you and in your dreams. The story is sweet, naughty, and with a bit of drama, the perfect kind. I gave this one 4 out of 5, and that's all I have to say about this one. So next in the series is Rec. This one is my favorite in the series. It's about Jax, Liam's teammate, and Alina, his publicist. So one drunken mistake of his led his team principal to hire a publicist for him to restore his reputation. And yeah, it's an enemies to lovers, by the way. As soon as I read the prologue, I knew I was gonna be hooked, and I was. The title of the book was like apt for the prologue because it was wrecking. Loved the whole plot, everything was perfect. The tension, the banter, the chemistry, the spiciness, and the best part was how they were each other's safe space. It was just, too good. I loved it. I enjoyed every second of this one, and I gave it 5 out of 5. Also, I read this one in one day. See, I told you. I flow through romance or fantasy genres. Moving on to the last book in the series, Redeemed. It's about Santiago and Chloe. Santiago is Maya's brother from book one. One mistake destroyed his career, and he was hiding from the world until she came into his life. And Chloe, she's in Italy to find her long lost father, but ended up breaking into his home. And the next thing, she's his fake girlfriend. I love this one too, just not as much as Rick. This one also took me a day to finish. The story was interesting, it did not bore me, but for some reason I liked it a little less. I'm still figuring that reason out, by the way. So this book has that butterfly effect thing. One thing leads to another, and then you're right where you're supposed to be. I have no idea where that explanation came from. So Chloe, she made him a better person. She was the reason of his healing. At one point I wanted to shake some sense into her, but I also understand where she was coming from. So also, if that didn't happen, then what happened wouldn't have happened. I'm literally talking crazy at this point. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. After the series, I read Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. I read her Cat and Mouse to it many years ago, and I loved it, so I wanted to try that one. I'm sure you all know Zaid Meadows and Adeline. So this one follows Sawyer and Enzo. She's on the run and one day crosses path with him. But her one mistake led him to hate her so much that he lures her onto his boat for revenge. But his need for revenge had them stuck together in a lighthouse with some creepy old caretaker. We have some interruption. Hi, baby. Do you want to review some books for them? No? What kind of books do you read? Thank you. This one had more creepy vibes and too much smut, like every other chapter. I wasn't a big fan overall, but there were some parts that were good, especially the final chapters. Sawyer is a strong character nonetheless. What she did was wrong, and how he reacted was wrong as well. But once their pasts are revealed, it's easier to understand from their perspective. Now, what I'm about to say is crazy, and I'd be absolutely against in real life. But that shark scene, it was hot. There, I said it. and now I'm gonna go drown myself in the river behind my house. Anyway, so final rating 3.5 out of 5. I think that's all I'm gonna review in today's video. 10 books done, and I'm not counting them as series, okay? So, yeah, the rest I'll do another video for it after this one, maybe. And I'm also gonna include Airs of Secrets in that one. I'm gonna be done with it by then, I think. So, thank you for hearing me talk for minutes. I hope my reviews will be helpful. And if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.